Hi there, this is a playthrough of map 15. So it's one of the larger maps in the game. Let's look at the heat map. And you'll see there are a few thousand robots on this map to start off with. And let's look at the middle there, that's the main battle area. And it's pretty much full of robots to fight. So starting off, we're first going to get some of the energy systems working. So we're going to get some biomass, get that going. And we're going to clear some area to put some power plants. That's the ethanol plant, and we're going to tower it because it's going to get attacked. Next, we're going to go for the geothermal, put a plant there to get that going. And we're going to start to get some initial harvesting areas, and that's both the corn and the metal. So we can start harvesting. And then we're going to unlock the tree area. And there's a nice treasure chest there. So we're going to start by planting some trees. These seeds were obtained earlier on the right side of the map. And now that we have an energy tree, we're going to put a nuclear plant down. So now we have 2 power plants, set another tower. And now we're going to try to get the minerals so we can start on some upgrades. And the minerals are protected by a base that sends helpers. So the battle is going to be a bit more challenging. So we actually had to recharge some of the tanks and then bring them back. And the power went out. And now it's coming back. So now we can build some drill mines. So this will give us resources to upgrade the trees and the batteries of the tanks. We're running out of areas to harvest, so we have to go after the next fields. And these ones are protected by a base, so you can see them sending some help. And you can see the healer came to help there. In this game, the way it works is the mob camps, when they aggro, they have purple aggro sirens, so to speak, if the helpers have red. So you can actually tell if they're helpers or they're from the mob camp. So eventually we're able to set up a tower. We need to get a few more resources before we can build another tower, because the fields are getting attacked at all times. And there's some nice treasure chests there, and this will allow for the first batch of upgrades. And we get to upgrade the tree to make better laser weapons. So this game's all about upgrading the tanks, and we also obtained a multi-shot tank there. So generally speaking, the first 10 or 20 minutes you're just going after the initial mob camps, and then you're starting to get enough resources to be able to upgrade your weapons, and then you can move forward in the map. So we took out that base, and now we can take out the left side base, so they're going to stop attacking the harvesters. So as you can tell, some of the battles are pretty intense and last for a while. And sometimes they have to send stuff back for recharging. I think I did it a bit too early. I think I should have mined more resources first, so I would have had larger batteries for these battles. But eventually we managed to actually defeat the mob camps. Now we're able to attack the base that's attacking the harvesters. And there it goes. And there's a nice treasure chest there, so that will allow me to upgrade something. And once again, I'm running out of power. One reason why I have an early zone is to get the energy systems going, so to get the power plants, but also allow you to upgrade the batteries in both the tanks and the base. So now we are finally being able to go to the middle zone. And if you notice there, they're already rebuilding. So this is going to be a bit different than the initial zones, and then, we could just sort of push the robots off. In the middle, they're going to be constantly rebuilding. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle. And you could see that a lot of those robots coming are the helpers, not from the mob camps. So as soon as you attack something, the surrounding bases will send units. And yeah, those are mostly from the surrounding bases. So it gets pretty intense fights, and you notice some of the tanks will stop firing, meaning they run out of power, and we have to tow it back. Because we don't even have enough battery to move anymore. And there's going to be some constant fights, and notice there are these Jacob ladder robots. They actually disable towers. So that's when the towers go dark. And they're disabling the towers again. That forces you to move your army to fight, versus just letting the towers do all the defense. So in this game, there's only 3 ways your tower go down. One is, well, you run out of all the energy, meaning your battery's to zero and you run out of generating capacity. Two, if they actually do enough damage to it, which is possible. And the third way is they actually have the Jacob's Ladder robots that just disable them. And they do have units that will bypass the towers and hit your power stations directly, which may cause the energy to drop. And I managed to set up another drill line, so that should allow me to start upgrading units. And I obtained enough resources to upgrade the tree again. So you really, really want to upgrade your laser weapon as fast as possible. So not only does more damage, it's far more energy efficient. So let's say you have level 1 lasers for your towers. Well, it's going to be using up, we'll call it 1 unit of energy. You get level 3s, it's going to be using half of that. So the amount of power you could generate in this game is kind of fixed by how many power plants you can build, but you can improve your efficiency. So now I'm attacking sort of the left area to get access to more cornfields and another geothermal, and yeah, we just disabled the tower. And while that's happening, there's a large battle in the middle. And you can see some of the stuff buildings there got disabled, so the analyst has to come and sort of jumpstart them again. And if they rebuild a base, what happens is it has a dampening field, so you cannot actually shock the tower back to life if there's a nearby base. So you have to wait till it's exploded, and you have to destroy all the units that spawn, and then you could bring the towers back to life. And we're back, and they're attacking again. Back and forth. And notice that the tanks are out of energy again. So I'm going to have to call the tow truck. Notice that I'm gradually building more towers and I'm gradually pushing upwards. And once again, they've taken that area back. So I summon the army again, and I'm going to have to get the ambulance to get that tower going again. Yeah, there it goes. And notice I can't do that. Okay, I destroyed that mob camp, and now I can. And there's another battle in the middle. And I'm also out of energy. How nice. And you could actually see it rebuilt a few mob camps there. I always will give the player a few energy plants that are away from the main contested area. So those plants will constantly generate electricity, even if the ones that are in the combat area do not. So there's generally always enough energy to power the shields of the towers, but maybe not power the lasers. So after the fight kind of ends, there's still something left over, and then when they're no longer attacking the power plants, the batteries will start recharging. So I don't really have like a hard loss condition. You could usually always come back, simply because some of the power plants are in a safe area. And you can see I have yet another tower there. So the objective here is to kind of tower the entire middle area, which should make it possible to kind of defend itself. And notice new resources. So I'm there building a few turrets. I'm also building more lasers. And certainly it takes you a while to actually get those. So now I'm attacking the left side of the middle. It has the other mineral that's used for the tree upgrades, and I wasn't able to take it all the way, so I had to bring my units back to recharge. And at this point, the watering is now being automated, so I have both, notice I partially rebuilt that we just destroyed. So now I have the towers available, I can start towering it. So with both the watering and the vacuuming of resources, basically at a certain point in the game I give you automated vehicles, but you still have to do a little bit of management in terms of refilling that vehicle with water, also occasionally taking it in to get it recharged. And we got some more trees, so now we could fill out all the trees. And that's what we look at this point. You can see that I'm gradually taking over the middle. And once again, the power went out, although I'm generating a lot of power. That's kind of cool when the power's out. You can actually see if everything's green, yellow, or red to see what's getting power at that point. And I think I need to build more battery banks in the main base at this point. Because every single time when you bring the tanks back to recharge, it will take a lot of energy in a hurry. Even if you're generating a lot of power. In this game, the towers get the #1 priority for energy, especially the shields. So what will happen is all the energy will get directed to them, so the recharging the vehicles will just take longer. And the next priority is anything else. So if you're like mining for resources or building new things, that has the last priority. So again, the first is the towers and shields, and the second priority is the recharge ports, and the third is anything else. And they attack the left side, so I have to use the ambulance to bring that back in. I'm refilling the water there. And yet another tower. And it seems like never enough. And one thing in the game that I really wanted, I wanted the game to be glow in the dark if possible. So even when the lights go off, one, you could shut that setting off if you want. You can always play in daylight. But you could actually kind of play the game anyway. Because all your units plus all their units plus at least some indicators on the building are always glow in the dark. And I'm finally building more batteries, and this will make it that the lights go off far less. Because generally speaking, those batteries could recharge 3 tanks with tier 1 batteries. But as your tanks upgrade and as you have more of them, you need more battery banks. I generally recommend like 1 per power generation station, something like that. And we finally obtained the anti-shield gun, plus we can upgrade the multi-shot. What that means is there's this area in the bottom right that have a whole bunch of shields. You can see those as those kind of yellow blobs. And earlier we couldn't take them on because they were too strong. Because shields basically defend against artillery and cannonballs, plus some of the other weapons, the multi-shot and so on. But once you have an anti-shield gun, you can take them on. And there's some very nice upgrades there. So in this game, all your units need to come back in order to get upgraded. Versus just getting magic upgrades, so that's what was happening there. And these are these really strong mob camps, and they're getting helpers from 2 other bases. And we took them on, but we need to recharge our tanks. And that treasure chest there is actually rechargeable, so every so often you get a new treasure chest from it. And while we were doing that, they were hitting our buildings again. So we can't actually take on any of the other upgrade areas, we need to actually defend the middle again. And now we can take on another one of these upgrade trees. And that's the canister shot for the cannonball. Also kind of referred to shotgun. And I got enough resources to upgrade the lasers again. That's nice. So the way trees work is you need fertilizer to upgrade them, or potash, but you also need experience. So they get experience very slowly. Or you could give them experience. That the engineering vehicle there, the one with like the dot matrix printer in the back, actually you'll kind of see when a unit gets destroyed, a book flies at it. That's actually experience, and then you could give the experience to the tree. And then if you have enough experience and you have enough materials to upgrade, you could upgrade the tree to the next level. And I lost my anti-shield tank there. It needs to be towed back. At this point, I have the canister shot tree active. And to activate those trees, you just need to water them once. So that lets the AI know that it can now water them automatically if you have the automated watering thing. And while that was happening, we lost all those towers again. So that tree is the napalm tree. That's for the artillery shell. So it could have a fire shell. And finally, we could take on the helper base. And we're getting attacked again, of course. And we're starting to build more towers. At this point, I think the center is nearly completely towers. That should help. And I can start to build upgraded stuff for consumables. I don't think I have that yet. Oh no, I have one of it. So generally, you upgrade something, it's at least twice as good because you have 2 trees versus 1 tree offering you resources. But it's actually much better than that. Those upgrades are what allow you to actually win the map. Because you get fire as a weapon, so fire does damage as a percentage of maximum hit points. So it's really powerful for large things, for large robots with lots of hit points. You also get the EMP that basically takes down the shields. So at this point, and now we get around battery upgrades for every tank. And besides having to deal with that, once again they're attacking. Notice the center is nearly entirely clear at this point. We can now take on the left area and finally deal with that. And that thing on the upper left there, that's what the robots used to upgrade. It's going to get blown up. And now we can take some of the outside defenders. But notice I don't have that much power left, so we're just barely going to be able to defeat these two sort of camps near that base. And then we have to go back to recharge. Alright, so they're all ready. See that? And during this, they're actually attacking, and I don't have all the tanks yet because they're recharging. So it's going to take a while to deal with it. You can see the hammer units dealing damage. The tower line went down again, and it's going to go down again. You can see the Jacob ladder was coming. Alright, yeah, gotta be another laser tower. And you can see, I think the anti-shield is out of power. Alright, now notice they rebuilt those outside bases. Alright, now we can finally take the main base. And it's going to be quite the fight, and they're also going to get helpers from the other base show up. And it goes for a while, but with the upgraded weapons, it's possible. And between this, I recharge all the vehicles again. That's one of the Jacob ladder bases. On the left side is one on the right side, and I could also destroy the support base and send healers. And at this point, I cleared the entire left side, and I still have the center and right side. I'm actually doing it in the wrong order. Actually, the top was the weaker of the sides, and getting attacked and everything needs to be recharged. That's not good. Okay, so now I'm finally hitting the north side, and I should have done this first because these bases give instant upgrades. So each of those treasure chests has the ability to upgrade one weapon from level 3 to level 5, which is really, really good. So I'd like to give a whole bunch of instant upgrades towards the end to make it much faster to defeat the last few bases. Because I don't want the last phase to drag for too long. So we're attacking the support base that has healers, and we're also going to attack the one with the Jacob ladders, one that disables the towers. Now we're recharging, we're building one last batch of weapons to equip for the last fight, and we're going to take on the largest boss. Alright, let's go. So those are the outside ones, and we have enough resources to take the main base right away. It's going to be quite the fight, but like I said, I have upgraded weapons, so it's not going to be that hard anymore. And there it is. A bit over 3 hours, and the map is done. 17,000 robots killed or destroyed. One interesting thing is I had to play this map a lot to balance it, and obviously I just did the video, and I actually managed to play this entirely in a single sitting. I didn't even want to leave the chair, so it was actually pretty fun, even after playing this map a lot of times to test it. Well, thanks for watching.